One of the things I always reassure myself of is a saying of Jim Rohn's that reminds us that following every winter season, there is 99.9% assurance that we're going to have a spring. We're going to have a spring, and that's going to mean new growth, new opportunity, um, and um, and so in the context of us looking out from this winter season, this pandemic season, and looking ahead to what's anew, what is to come, um, I am very I'm very bullish on the fact that we are stepping into a digital era like we'd never seen before. I think this season has transitioned many companies who were maybe even on the fence about going remote and going purely digital. I think we're embracing a new season of a work from home uh, standard and more freelancing that's going to happen. And whether you identify yourself as a corporate professional, as an entrepreneur, as a freelance, as a creative, this is a different season that we're approaching. And within my podcast, I'm a brand strategist and a marketer by day. And as a podcast, one of the things I've witnessed is the benefit of having a really strong personal brand. All too often, that's the separator between whether or not I invite somebody to be a featured guest on my podcast. And I realize that's probably the case in many other instances, whether that's media or events, where others are looking for opportunity. But in this season, even corporate professionals need to be aware of the difference maker that your personal brand has. So I thought today it would be great for us to talk just for a minute about your personal brand, right? What is a brand? What is your personal brand? And so I'm going to do my best job here to share with you. Let's see if this works. All right. So I just wanted to talk for just a minute about branding and why your personal brand is so important. So a brand is simply a set of features that distinguishes you, right? I am Stephen A. Hart. I've branded myself as Stephen A. Hart. Quite frankly, my name is Stephen A. I Hart, and so even my daughter jokes on a day-to-day basis about how I've chosen to brand myself as such, right? There's a dozen or more Stephen Harts in every city I've ever lived in. And so I was not able to secure stephenhart.com or at Stephen Hart. And so I made a decision to brand myself, to give myself that feature that Stephen A. Hart is who I identify as in terms of my name. I've also made efforts to make sure that I create a brand, certain visual elements that identify exactly who I am. So I have a logo and a brand mark and certain colors and a message that distinguishes me from others, right? And so that is a brand. It's just a set of features that distinguishes you. But branding, right? The act of branding, the act of personal branding is an iterative process, right? That helps you to create that distinct presence. And it's ongoing. It never stops, right? This is your effort to help whoever your customer is. And your customer could be an employer that you're hoping will hire you. It could be a partnership or a sponsorship, or a customer, a client who's buying a product or a service of yours, right? So customer takes on many different labels, but the act of your personal branding is one that is dynamic, and you're constantly working to create a distinct presence, where it helps people to find you, to engage with you, and hopefully to do business with you or hire you, right? I'm showing an example, a visual example here of Starbucks over several decades and how they have not just been what we see today in a visual, right? It's been a slow and steady progress to iterate and to live up to the times. But Starbucks has also gone through quite a process over several decades to create that distinct presence. And the same goes for you with your personal brand. It never stops. It's not something that you do and you move on from. You're always working to develop your presence and your personal brand, right? So the thing I wanted to share here was the iceberg model as it relates to branding, right? Uh, Most people hear of the word branding and what they see or what they think of is a logo on your visual identity. They might think of that name, that tagline, that brand mark, right? We think of that M that sits, on every McDonald's franchise, and we think of the colors that they use, that font of the M. We think of the imagery and the photography and the video and the commercials of a McDonald's ad, or Starbucks for the example we just showed, right? Those are the things we think of. But when we think of your personal brand or even any brand beyond it, right, there are other things that happen below the surface, right? Who are you? When we talk about your vision and your mission and the things, your values, the things that really are at the foundation of who you are, we think of what you do, the products and the services and the different things that you offer. You think of how you communicate, your messaging, creating a clear message so that your customer will listen. And the voice. I am Jamaican. I am one unique voice that my voice paired with Stephen A. Hart makes me unlike anyone else on this planet. Also, my positioning. Many of you know and see me always leveraging images of me in a pink blazer. And that's deliberate. I want to stand out. I want you to know that I'm this high energy, crazy Jamaican guy who loves to have fun. And that separates me in terms of my brand. It's something you see and you're thinking about, or I should say, a lot of these things are below the surface, right? They're not necessarily what most people see. Of course, you'll see me in the pink jacket and notice that, but also, how we do it, right? How we do what we do. And you think of the kind of content. So me creating this live stream, telling you about branding is something that brands me as a brand strategist. The technology that we use. I embrace podcasting. I embrace live streaming. I embrace video. And that is part of the experience that you and I share, as well as the culture, right? So when we talk about branding, there's so much more than what most people see above the surface, right? And so why personal branding? Why is branding so very important right now? Well, it establishes your distinct presence online. And in 2021, following this pandemic, it is so very important, more important than it has ever been before, for you to have an established online presence. You may not end up back in an office setting. In fact, we may not see an office setting quite like we had seen in the past. Things are going to be quite different. It might be a hybrid. The way in which we network, the way in which we communicate, the way in which we do the things we do are going to change. And so while you might be able to get in front of somebody and engage, it might require more for you to be able to stand out, for you to be authentic, right? So why personal branding is important? It helps to make you memorable and helps to make you authentic and different than anyone else out there, right? And it gives you a competitive advantage. Again, post-pandemic, things are going to change. How are you going to separate yourself? How are you going to give yourself that edge? How are you going to showcase the things that you are great at, the contributions you've made, the things that you value? And lastly, it's going to help you to enhance your credibility and your trust. When people see you and they get to see you day in and day out, you're building that awareness, you're drawing attention to yourself. And by doing things over and over again, creating content, being present, people are getting to know you, like you, and trust you, right? And that helps you to build a certain measure of credibility and trust, right? So I hope that you have enjoyed me sharing this. I am, grateful for you guys rocking with me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And one of the things that I just wanted to touch on is that in about 10 days, I am sharing a personal branding essentials bootcamp. This is going to be a live virtual experience on Saturday, March 20th. And it's limited. We're not doing it for a great number of folks. But if you're interested in learning my 9-step framework for building an amazing personal brand, I invite you to join us on Saturday, March 20th. We're going to have a complete full day experience. And unlike many boot camps or courses, online courses, where you're hearing a ton of theory throughout the day, this is going to be a full day boot camp. And I tell you, we're going to walk through the things you need to know to be able to develop certain skills around your personal brand. But I'm going to show you a ton of examples. So you're going to get more skills, you're going to get more examples, but more so you're going to have more opportunity to practice. We're going to do a ton of hands-on work where I help you to develop these different areas of your personal brand, right? Which is so very important. So, let me just go ahead and share with you our 9-step framework, right? We are going to talk about the audience that you need to be clear on. We're going to help you to create that foundation. At stage 1 is all about your foundation. It's getting really crystal clear on who you're serving. When I say audience, target audience could apply to a business, but it could also apply to you if you're a corporate professional and you're trying to make sure you understand who in your organization you are serving. Who's that perfect customer, right? That you are serving. Could be your boss, but it could also be teams or departments that you serve. So it can be a multitude of individuals who you're working with. We're going to talk about creating a vivid vision and understanding your long-term goal and plan. Where are you trying to get to over the long term? And what are your offerings? What is your product or service? Again, even if you're a corporate professional, if you're an entrepreneur, you get that, right? But even if you're a corporate professional, you are offering something unique that no one else can. And so you need to be very clear on what it is that you're offering to the world. In our stage 2 of this boot camp, we're going to talk about building your brand identity. We're going to go over colors and fonts. We're going to talk about images and photography and all the visual elements that people identify when they look at you and your personal brand. We're going to talk about crafting a clear message. If you confuse, you lose. And so you want to make sure you have a killer message that is simple and easy to digest and is everywhere somebody interacts with you, both online and offline. We're going to talk about building your online HQ, your website. We just need to make sure that you have a good, solid hub on the internet, on these internet streets, to make sure that this is where you're anchored and this is where people will find you. And then we'll wrap up in stage 3 talking about creating a cohesive digital footprint, right? So making sure that you're present everywhere someone wants to find you, and that presence is epic, right? Everywhere somebody comes in, whether it's Twitter or Instagram, whether it's LinkedIn or Clubhouse, you have a presence that's going to stand out. And then we're going to walk through exactly what to do to create meaningful and engaging content. And we're going to wrap up talking about crafting your marketing assets and monetizing your brand. Again, this is our 9-step framework. It's truly amazing. We're going to walk through all of this in one day, and you don't want to miss that. Again, if you're interested, hop on over to stephenahart.com/bootcamp. And I look forward to you joining us next Saturday, March 20th. I hope that you have a fantastic day and, keep blazing your trail. Cheers.